Okay. So good afternoon to all of you. Today we have gathered here to discuss some nuances of examination to be held on 2nd of June 2019. There's one important thing to be understood first of all, that this time UPSC has come out with relatively more amount of seats, number of seats, so it stands a better chance to get through in this examination this year, and it is expected to increase further because it is only a tentative list, tentative number, it may increase further. Keeping in mind this examination, this academy has decided to start a crash course for current affairs for upcoming examination for preliminary, and in this course first of all we need to discuss what would be our approach, why this what is the logic of this course. See, we expect that all of the students who will be coming in this course, these students are well versed with general studies, clear? So we want to make it very clear from at the very outset, we are not to teach general studies, clear? We expect that those students who are coming for this course, they know general studies, they know about traditional history, geography, polity, economy, but at the same time we will be working on to brush up their skill for current affairs, meaning thereby the current affairs related to polity and governance, government schemes and all, current affairs related to international organizations, the recent developments in the last 2 years, current affairs related to India Yearbook, current affairs related to interim budget. So purpose here is that in this 75 hours program, our approach should be to give you as much information related to current affairs as is required for this examination, because normally we all know that the stake of current affairs never gets diminished in any year in UPSC examination. Out of 100 questions, directly or indirectly, almost half of the paper of the current affairs section. It may not seem to be direct, it may be indirect in nature. Even in traditional questions there are one statement or two statements related to current issues. With regard to those current issues, we need to work upon here. So our purpose basically is to look after your current affairs requirement. I know that many of you must have read about current affairs also, there's no doubt about it, clear? But purpose of this course here would be to teach not current affairs, clear? What current affairs is required for your preliminary examination, and what current and all current affairs are to be prepared at this time. So our approach would be not to teach all the major organizations that you have read in general studies. For instance, I'll let you know, clear? There's a very important thing that is going on. In these days, the most important challenge is that we are surrounded with fake news. There's a reality about it. We cannot deny that, clear? And it becomes very difficult for students to know what is the real news after all going on. And those people who are preparing your question paper, they know the real truth. They prepare questions in a very right format. For instance, I'll let you know, clear? You must have read in these days when Indo-Pak clashes were going on, that at this point of time, there was a news whereby Sushma Swaraj was invited to attend the plenary session of Islamic Conference, Organization of Islamic Conference. There was hue and cry in media person that Pakistan has been sidelined, Sushma Swaraj has been invited to attend the plenary session, and she is also the guest of the honor. That's the thing. Those things came, news went out of the newspaper also, clear? They never came out with the real thing, what exactly happened in the Organization of Islamic Conference that took place at Abu Dhabi. I want to know from you, how many of you know what exactly happened in this conference? You must know what exactly happened, clear? See, the reason why I'm asking this thing, the problem with all of us is that we are surrounded with fake news. The reason is that we need to decode the cloud that has been set deliberately upon us, and UPSC will not ask questions on fake news that make it very clear. So it becomes much more challenging for us to get into the real track, to get into the real news, and then to give you the exact information, clear? In international organizations, I'll let you know, in Organization of Islamic Conference Abu Dhabi, which was 2-day conference on 1st and 2nd of March, by the end of that conference in 2nd of March, it was a big setback for India. There's no doubt about it. The big setback for India because India proclaimed that India has third largest Muslim population all across the world. India should be invited and to become a member of this organization. India has been demanding things since the inception of this organization, 1969. Till this time it was in denial. And moreover, I'll let you know that at the end of this conference, Abu Dhabi Declaration declared India must stop its terrorist activities in Kashmir. India occupied Kashmir declaration has been found. Clear? Till this time we know Pakistan occupied Kashmir. The whole declaration was about Pakistan, India occupying Kashmir. So purpose is that, clear? It may not be asked, but they will ask about your Organization of Islamic Conference, how many member countries are there? 57 countries are there. And among those 57 countries, important thing is, 56 countries are members of United Nations, except Palestine. Clear? So you need to know about these nuances. The reason is that you may be reading newspaper, you may be reading magazines also, but it may not be necessary. The information that you are getting through all these from these things, it may be right, it may be approximate, it may be exact, which is required for this examination. So the team altogether has worked upon to give you the real news, the exact thing that is happening from different sources, not only relying only one source. Clear? And after getting into those real sources, you will be given current updates so that those current updates can be useful for your examination. Clear? It's not here to teach you traditional GS. Traditional GS we expect you have done. Here we'll build upon those traditional areas to give you the exact current information. And the areas that we'll be covering, one sheet has been given to you. Look into that sheet, the front page itself. We are covering almost all the areas that are required for your general studies, starting with art and culture. I'll be taking art and culture for 3 days. Then international issues and organizations, national issues and organization, indices and indicators. Almost every year, 2 to 3 questions are from indices and indicators. We have made a separate class for indices and indicators. Then following with that, we have interim budget. Anyway, this time the budget was not asked. Clear? But interim budget is there. We know much. There is not much development. But then also we need to know in one class at least what was the gist of that interim budget for 2019. Then polity and governance, very important section. We'll be covering all government schemes also, bills also, the acts also which has been acted in the last 2 years. Then next followed by that, government schemes, bills, committees and commissions reports, government ministries and Niti Aayog. Just understand, Niti Aayog has come out with a very important document, India at 75. Clear? You need to know this document because this time this document is much more important. The reason being, this time you don't have to read economic survey. Clear? So anyway, they will be looking for some government sources to frame some questions. There's a very important document of Niti Aayog, India at 75. We'll be covering that document thoroughly in this class. Clear? All these are basically peripheral areas which are missed out in our preparation. We'll be catching up those peripheral areas to complete your preparation so that you can have odd 60 questions in your hand or 60 questions in your kitty to get through in this examination. You need to correct odd 60 questions. Believe me, even now, if you have read history, read GS, you can correct 45 questions. I can bet upon this. But 45 questions will not enable you to qualify this examination. You need at least 10 to 12 more questions to get through into the list of successful candidates. The purpose of this course in 75 hours would be to give you those 10, 12 crucial questions in which can sail you through in your preliminary examination. The purpose is to bridge that gap between your preparation right now that you have and the requirement of UPSC from successful candidates or CS candidates. Clear? Then apart from this, we'll be having India Year book. See, one thing I'll let you know, it's a dry book. No one can read that book. To be very frank, I'll let you know, no one. Clear? Believe me, when I also used to prepare, we were not able to read India book. But what is important is, we'll be looking into some new things which has been added in India book. Clear? Those new schemes, those new concepts which has been added in India book, maybe in art and culture, maybe in chapter of finance, which is very important, maybe in chapter of environment, which is very important for examination. We'll be taking those issues and we'll be giving you those issues so that those issues can easily be covered. Apart from this, science and technology, environment again. Clear? Now again, here we'll pause. Environment, ecology, biodiversity, climate change. Make it very clear. Clear? 12 questions you are bound to get from this single area. And you know the logic very well. You must be knowing the logic very well. Indian Forest Services has been combined with civil services. They are bound to ask us 12 to 14 questions from environment. And most of these questions are current based. The most important utility of this course, in fact, would be to attend this classes on environment, ecology, biodiversity and climate change. All international and national protocols will be covering, all important, not only Paris Agreement and all. We'll be covering all latest developments also, clear? Because this developments related to environment is very crucial. And with this test or with this classes, you will come to know about all the current issues. Traditional issues, again, I'll let you know. You must have read about traditional issues. Some of you must have read Shankar's IAS notes also. Many of you must have read Geography and Science and Technology NCRTs also, because these NCRTs contain 1 or 2 chapters on environment. Clear? Geography NCRT covers it from a spatial perspective. Science and Technology covers it from technological perspective. But at the same time, current affairs is completely missing. Clear? And you have to club together materials from different sources to arrive at the real thing. In this class, it would be more important thing is capsulated information related to environment would be given to you in one go. So purpose is to facilitate you so that at one place, at one single point of time, you are able to get all those informations so that you are able to crack, revise and write the examination easily. Purpose is to facilitate your preparation. Purpose is not to make the things complex. And at every beginning of every class, you would be given very brief or crisp material so that you can revise that also. Purpose is not to give you 100-page material. We'll be giving you at max 20 pages material for every section, not more than that. And believe me, our approach is one thing. Since it's a crash course, clear, we won't be teaching those things which will be given to in printed material. Clear? They are equally important. It is for you to read. We'll be teaching some another topics or different topics so that in one single time, two different sources are given to you so that in brief period of time you get all possible things which are related to current affairs. Clear? So printed materials would be equally important. They are already made crisp. They are already made very friendly to you so that you can read it properly. In classes we'll have analysis among some of the topics so that you are able to get maximum output from this course by the end of this course. Clear? Purpose is this. Then ultimately we'll become with geography also with focus on map pointing, because every year 3 to 4 questions minimum you get from map pointing. Clear? And in map pointing also you must be knowing, since I expect that you have read GS, Asian continent is very important. All the places which has been used for one and a half years will be covering those news. Clear? From West Asia, normally we get questions either from Israel, related to Israel, or from Kashmir Sea in Central Asia. This time we are expecting questions from Southeast Asia. So our purpose would be to give all important locations related to Southeast Asia, how to understand those areas, how to understand the distinctness about those areas, the limitations or the distance from Indian territory. So we will be covering, we will be tailor-made course which is devised so that you are able to make the deficit. You can bridge the gap in your preparation which you have already done and the requirement which is thereby from UPSC. The purpose is to give you those additional inputs in this class. Clear? So this class, again I repeat once again, this class is not meant for any person who is starting the preparation. Let me make it very clear. This course is for those candidates who have already done videos. Clear? We will help you again through traditional areas, but in class we would be giving you all current updated material in two formats. One would be class lectures whereby teachers will dictate things. Another would be printed material. There would be no synonymity at large. Clear? Because printed material will have another set of information and class lecture will have another set of topics, so that in single time you are getting maximum output of this. Printed material, revise the topics, and on every Sunday we'll have tests also, the topics that we'll be covering, and all. By the end of this course you will get 3 full tests on general studies, 3 full tests on CSAT, so that you are able to judge yourself before you finally take up your examination on 2nd of June. Is this fine? No, this is one aspect. The approach I have explained you, it's very important. So make it very clear while attending the classes. The approach should be very clear so that you should not be in this habit that we are going to teach everything. We will be teaching current affairs. But if you want support from with regard to traditional areas, be in contact with us. We'll be doing it separately. But in class, we'll be teaching you the current updated things. Regarding test, just understand it's a very important integral part of your preparation. Regarding test, how to approach the paper. The students who are with us, they have been writing tests every Sunday. They know the nuances very well. But to understand the nuances, the new candidates or the candidates, there would be further explanation how to approach the paper, the test papers, how to approach the paper in UPSC examination, because after all, whatever we'll be doing, it's all about net practice. You have to play the final match therein on 2nd of June only. So how to approach the paper, how to read the statements, how to read the questions, which questions are not to be touched, they are to be respected, which questions are to be deliberately attempted, which questions are there in which you can take calculated risk. We'll have discussion, brief discussion on this format also, so that you must know how to approach the paper, how to take the full test also. And with regard to that strategy, I have my colleague, he will discuss about how to approach the question papers. 11 tests are there. Do write the test every Sunday. Questions are UPSC compatible based. You write the test, we'll be discussing those questions also, and at the same time we'll be giving you explanations of those questions as well. Clear? Now how to approach the paper, how the test should be done, he will discuss this in Mr. Sundar Srivastav, and in the end, we'll take your queries also. If you have any doubt in your mind, just feel free to ask. Clear? We'll discuss all your queries as well. Is it fine? The approach is very clear to all of you. Clear? See, make things very clear at the outset. Here the course is to build upon the GS that you have already done with. Make it very clear. Clear? That is why you should not be in the expectation that we will be teaching traditional areas. 75 hours is absolutely not enough to teach the whole general studies. Clear? So this thing should be very clear in your mind. Is it fine? Clear? Now coming, I'll just ask Sanjay Srivastava to explain you the nuances to solve question papers. Clear? Thank you.
So everyone, good afternoon to all of you. The main approach of this particular course is how to solve the question paper, because if you are reading and you are not solving the question paper, it becomes monotonous. So every Sunday what we do, we conduct a 100 marks preliminary compatible test, and that particular test is very important because we conduct quality test. There are in the market, there are a lot of tests like 40 tests, 50 tests in one single preliminary test series. So here we focus on quality, and that is compatible to the UPSC level. Here in the sense that, suppose for example, for the 1 week you will read certain topics like art and culture and international organization. On the next Sunday, that is on 17th, you will get the test of that. So first you will read all the subject related things, and then you will tell the particular test. And that particular test is very important because on Sunday we can analyze that particular test, what were the mistakes and how we can correct the main thing, that is negative marking. Because it is important. Some people are attempting 90 questions. In that 90 questions they are actually doing 60 correct and 30 wrong. So it becomes very difficult to qualify the examination, because as sir said that 60 questions is very important in order to do or in order to sail through that particular cutoff. So here what happened, we generally teach how to reduce the wrong options. So first of all, there are certain techniques like how to qualify this particular examination. Like suppose for example, if you are reading a certain question paper, on the first 10 question you approach with very vigilant. It means you can read every sentence, you see what is correct, what is incorrect. Every sentence you read carefully. But whenever you crosses 20 question, 30 question, 40 question, your concentration certainly lapses. And that's the point where you make 5 or 6 mistakes. And that 5 or 6 mistakes, it means game over for that particular preliminary exam. So actually everyone knows, as sir said, like everyone knows about 45 to 40 questions in any particular examination, because you have read for the particular course in the last particular year. So here we can say that how to qualify the next 10 to 15 questions, how to make them correct. So there are certain kind of techniques like how to read the statements. First, do not read the options, because options makes you biased that this statement should be correct. So first you read 2 statements, then you think from where you have read this particular sentence. If you read that particular sentence, then you realize that this sentence is maybe correct, maybe wrong. Then you read the second, then you read finally the options. If you do not find that particular option in the your objective type questions, then you can say that this particular option is or statement is wrong or right. So this particular strategy is very beneficial in order to reduce the negative marking. And negative marking is very important. So we actually conduct tests. So you can see that every Sunday in the schedule there's one test, and for that particular classes we conduct this test. Like I personally deal with the economic portion of this GS. Here after that we can say that in economy, Indian economy, all the current issues are important. So whatever the UPSC is asking, like in the last year question, the question was on FRBM Act, because there was a review committee under Engg, so there was a question on FRBM. That was very simple. So for this particular examination, the newspapers which we are covering from January to April, this is very important, because everywhere whenever you see, like in 2017 you had a question on merchant discount rate, just because demonetization was in the news. They have asked about the question of opportunity cost, just because of demonetization, because of the opportunity cost of demonetization was very high. That's why UPSC asked. So it means currently in the economics portion they are asking directly current based question, or if they are asking concept based question, they are linked with current affairs. Like for example, this time angel tax is in the news, so we can expect the angel tax question. If you remember the second half of the 2018, there were questions or there were news about depreciation of Indian rupee. So Indian rupee depreciated to 72, 73. That was the long news. It means it persisted around 4 to 5 months regularly. So we can expect one question on the conceptual based, on the external economy, that regarding currency appreciation and depreciation. So that's how you can pick the particular areas in order to correct the questions. So every year around 20 questions are from economy, which is current based as well as the concept based. So this is how you can approach, how you can eliminate the option, how you can this particular thing, like how you can reduce the negative marking. That is important. So here we teach in every test. Just for example, if you have suppose appearing for a particular test, and in that test you found that there were some mistakes like in reading the statements. So you can just write down on a paper that these are the frequent mistakes.
What be vigilant throughout solving 100 questions. You need to be equally vigilant. Exactly. Vigilance should not come down. That's a very important thing. And in power preparation, we make it clear that throughout 100 questions, you are equally vigilant. Equal vigilance is important.
Because you read a question paper in section wise. Like suppose first is a skimming through the question paper. So whatever you know, you just tick that particular question. You do not mark in the OMR sheet. Then you found that you have corrected around 20-25 questions. So that's a positive thing in the second round. So it means whenever you do the second round, you found that I made a mistake in this reading this sentence. So if you are reading that particular question paper 3 to 4 times in that 2 hours, that is important. Because keep on reading that same paper, you will find some new angles. And whatever we are covering, it is simply written on the second page, which you've got. In this page, we have written all the sources. So all the newspapers, it means suppose you are reading one newspaper, the Hindu or Indian Express, but it is important to cover all the newspapers. So whatever material we are giving, we are covering sources from all the newspapers, magazine, etc. So it is actually humanly impossible for one particular candidate to read all the newspapers. That's why we made a concise material. And about the sources, one of my colleague Amit Jha sir, he will tell you about the sources of this particular course.
Good afternoon. So before me, both sir have explained you the importance and the how to solve the questions, right? I have 3 things to say that is very important. First is the idea and intent of this course is to enable you, to empower you. As sir has rightly said that we are not going to teach you, meaning that we will not flood you with the informations. The point is how to bridge the gap. Second thing, as you got this paper, that you just look at this, sources. We are going to touch upon all the ministries, departments, India Air Book, EPW, wherever these are the authentic sources. And you may see that why we are picking it up. The reason is that you are going to write the examination for the government, right? Government is the only authentic sources they are giving us. As sir has also said, the fake news, the question they will not ask you from the news. There is a big gap between the news and the informations. What we are focusing and underlining is the informations, how to curate the informations. That is the thing which you require in the examination. So all the paper, all the module which we have highlighted here is the information, how to focus, how to highlight those information that will enable you. Right? This is the enabler class I have rightly said in the beginning. And third thing I just want to tell you that in UPSC, keep in mind that people don't fail because of lack of knowledge, right? Why they fail is that they could not connect. Their approach sometimes, is zigzag, right? So the idea is throughout the crash course, to evaluate you, to tell you that what is your approach, to evaluate yourself, right? The idea is to tell you that how to enable you these things, right? So this is the 3 things that I wanted to say. And I would like to thank you all for coming. And if you have any question and query, you just ask, and we will try to solve your question.
Yeah, if you have any query, see, purpose is not up for us to speak. In coming 75 hours, we'll be speaking. The purpose is, since you are a mature people and you have already prepared your GS, I want you to ask questions. Okay. Any query that comes to your mind. Any question that comes to mind. So briefly I can explain, she has come right now. This course is for those candidates who have already done with GS, Here we will be focusing on current issues and analysis. Clear? Those current issue analysis from authentic sources in order to enable you to get additional score of 12 to 15 questions. Make it very clear. Clear? I know and I expect that 40 to 45 questions you would be correcting on your own at this point also. But does those 40 to 45 questions will not sell you through? Because oddly you need 55 to 60 questions to sell through in this examination. Though for those 10 to 15 questions which may affect your result, which may influence your result, we will be working for those 10 to 15 questions in this 75 hours program. Clear? The sources that we will be covering, we have given us, the schedule we have given us, the areas that we are going to cover we have given us, anything that comes to your mind. See, first of all, approach should be very clear. Clear? There shouldn't be any confusion in that, ambiguity in that. Now, apart from this, tell me the query that comes to your mind. Many of you must be there who have written prelims earlier also. They might be knowing about the nuances much better. If you feel that there is something that you need to clarify, because it's all about, it's not a kind of formal seminar, it's basically an interactive session. So we want to know exactly what is your problem with regard to preliminary examination, so that we can help you out and how far this course would be beneficial in this aspect. Any query that comes to your mind with regard to any query, anything that comes to your mind, any question that comes to your mind. See, I'll let you know one important thing. I'll again reinforce the same thing. How many of you have completed your GS course? How many of you completed the GS course? Completed in the sense, don't worry about the sense of completion. At least you have attended classes somewhere or the other way. Don't worry about that. Just tell me know how many of you have completed. Anyone who is a beginner, you are a beginner. That's why I just want, you have completed GS course, partially you have completed GS course. Clear? See, again I'll let you know. Since you have completed the course partially, we can help you in the course, that is whereby we can provide you additional materials also. We will do that. Anyway, that is not an issue. But again, I'll let you know. Most of you have attended the GS classes, had completed the course. Clear? Many of you must be attempting test series also somewhere over it. Clear? Many of you may be scoring very high also if you attend course materials or test papers from other institutes. See, the logic again I'll let you know. Some institutes have paper, level of paper which is very low. There you can score on an average 120, 125. Don't be complacent with that also. Some institutes may have paper, standard of paper very high. You may not score beyond 80. Clear? Don't get harassed also. The logic is that. Clear? That is why the most important requirement from management side, from an institute side, is to make the paper near compatible. 100% compatibility cannot be there. That is a reality. To make the paper near compatible to UPSC standard. And for this, this can only be done has analyzed the paper at least for 10 years. Clear? That we have analyzed the paper at least 10 years and we have come to the trend. I can bet upon this. We can tell you the trend also. Clear? In polity and governance, when we're taking classes, clear? The heart of polity is legislature. You must be knowing 7 to 8 questions in polity is directly from legislature. It can be union parliament, it can be state legislature. Again, I know most of you have read Lakshmikant, that also I know. But take my bet. I'm telling you, you won't be able to correct more than one or two questions from legislature. Clear? Because gone are the days when questions were used Lakshmikant. Clear? No, they want to go into the depth of legislature because legislature is the heart of political system or the whole constitution. When they will go into the depth, they want you to know the nuances of whole legislative functioning. It's not only about money bill and finance bill. It's about departmental committees also. It's about nuances also. For this, I always advise to read textbooks. Subhas Kashyap is one text which is only with Indian Parliament, our Parliament. Read our Parliament. Clear? Now, related to that Parliament, whichever current developments has taken place for the last 1.5 years, we will be covering in this course because we know we need to cover legislature thoroughly because 7 to 8 questions from legislature are bound to be there in the paper. It's quite obvious because obviously the whole polity is based on the legislature. Everything emanates from legislature only. Then only comes the executive, then only comes the bureaucracy, and then only comes the Supreme Court. That's a reality. Clear? And we all know, even Supreme Court with which we had total faith, even Supreme Court is not infallible. This has been proved in these days. Clear? You must be knowing this. Clear? Therefore, it is much more expected they will revert back to legislature. Because 7 to 8 questions from legislature are bound to be there in the paper. It's quite obvious because obviously the whole polity is based on the legislature. Everything emanates from legislature only. Then only comes the executive, then only comes the bureaucracy, and then only comes the Supreme Court. That's a reality. Clear? And we all know, even Supreme Court with which we had total faith, even Supreme Court is not infallible. This has been proved in these days. Clear? You must be knowing this. Clear? Therefore, it is much more expected they will revert back to legislature. This time they may ask 10 questions from legislature. At least if we can give you capsulated information or current issues related to legislature, 7 to 8 questions can be corrected. The purpose is that I want to explain you the logic behind this idea of Prelims Crash Course. Clear? 75 hours, we cannot teach every legislature. We cannot start from Article 52, that is Union Executive, and complete the whole article till 250. It's not possible for us. But we'll take out the gist from there and encapsulated information. This is one aspect. For instance, I'll let you know another important thing. Clear? We have analyzed the paper thoroughly. Take the case of environment. As I told, environment is very important. Clear? In environment, let me tell you frankly, biodiversity is one topic. Clear? No one can bet that biodiversity will be able to correct all questions. Why? Don't know even single species which is found in northeastern part of India. How many species you will memorize? How many? How many of them you will memorize as endangered category? How will you remember in this another category? Clear? Here also we have made out certain area. There's one area from where you are bound to correct questions easily. That is climate change. All protocols, if you are done with international, national level, 6 to 7 questions you can easily correct. Clear? My purpose of this course is to make your score around 60, so that you sail through your prelims examination and you are called for to write mains examination. Clear? So purpose is this, and we will be working on every section. Art and culture. Again, I'll let you know what basically is done. On 26th of January, Republic Day, presented by every state. Clear? The award is given to tablet, best tablet, first, second, third. Normally we get questions from those tablets because there are cultural activities. Clear? You need to know that. Now, how many tablets you will come to know? It's not possible because 29 states, they're all presenting them. Clear? At least the top 3 will take out, and we'll give you the background also. Clear? That background you must be knowing. Clear? Any anniversary which is being celebrated will be coming out. Last year, there were 700 years of Madhvachar. We'll give you the philosophy of Madhvachar. Clear? Last year it was expected Champaran Satyagraha. They asked the question also because we completed 100 years of Champaran Satyagraha. This time, Government of India Act 1918. This time it can be Jallianwala Bagh Massacre. There can be Rowlatt Act also. We'll be looking into those anniversaries. Clear? 1919, the end of the First World War, League of Nations established, and at the same time ILO came into existence. Clear? All these things are to be taken. So we will be doing that. This is not feasible by any single candidate to do it on its own. It will take 1 year. You cannot wait for 1 year. So purpose is to facilitate you, to reduce the gestation period of your preparation, and to make you more focused to crack this examination. So logic is this. Clear? This logic needs to be followed by all of you, needs to understand. If you have any doubt with regard to acceptance of this logic, just let us know. We can do that. Test is very clear to all of you. Clear? Again, I'll let you know, in course of time when we solve tests, we'll tell you all other nuances also, and those nuances will be discussed by Sanat only. Clear? Like assertion reason question. How do you attempt assertion reason question? Tell me any one of you. In assertion reason question, there are 2 statements. Options are both A and R correct. R is the correct explanation of A. Both A and R correct, but R is not the correct explanation of A. A is wrong, right, R is right. A is right, R is wrong. What do you do? The logic, again, I'll let you know. Here comes the trick. You have to look for a wrong statement. Look for not the right statement, wrong statement. If statement 1 is wrong, answer is D. Why you do have to read the second statement also? If first statement is right, then you read the second. If second statement is wrong, answer is C. And if both statements are right, then attach a word because or since in between. Read the sentence again. If you want even 10% correlation, answer is A. The last choice in assertion is B. From this thing also you can take out some questions. Are you getting my point? Clear? So if these are tricks that we'll be telling you in course of time, the purpose is very professional in nature, to cross your benchmark beyond 60, to sail you through. Clear? That's the logic. 25 questions, make it very clear, let you know it's a reality also. Out of 100, there are 25 questions which will not be known to you, and it will not be known to any other candidate. Competition is not in those 25 questions. You have to skip those questions. Competition is in odd 75 questions. Clear? And in those 75 questions, again I'll let you know, practically I'm speaking, if you attempt any number of questions, be it 40 questions also, and you claim that I'm 100% sure that at 40 questions, 15% error is a natural error. Make it very clear. 15% error is a natural error. You also will not realize how you commit that mistake in the examination room. Clear? So if you attempt 40 questions also, take 50% questions out from that. Clear? So for 60 questions, you need to attempt around 75 questions. taking in point 50% natural error. That will be there, clear? You will realize back at your room how you did commit a mistake there. But that is not the mistake on your part. That's a mistake on part of every candidate. So 15% natural error, you have to take that error also. 25 questions out. So obviously if you want to reach around the figure of 60, you need to attempt 75 questions, clear? And in 75 questions, believe me, if you are done with current affairs, you will have a leverage of attempting at least 15-20 questions extra. That is to reach the mark of 75. Once you attempt 75 questions, 280 questions, then you can expect 15% error, 4 or 5% error more, your score will lie around 60. And then 60 questions, odd questions will sell you through. All these things has been worked out, clear? And since it has been worked out, we are working on those nuances to make you compatible with UPSC requirements. Clear? This is one thing. So anyway, content is one aspect. Here content is not important. Much more important than content is to work on polishing your skill to get through in this examination. The purpose of this course would be to polish your skill. And most importantly, I'll let you know, the purpose is also to give you the real information. Because at this time, unfortunately, we are surrounded with fake news. Clear? And reasons are quite obvious. You are knowing this thing very well, clear? Because election is approaching. So we need to be very clear which information has to be picked and in which information has to be done in depth, clear? So make it very clear. We need to be very objective because we are surrounded with fake news and it is not difficult for you. It is much more difficult for us. Because why it is very difficult for us, if we also teach the same thing which is going on in news channel, clear? What is the point of utility of tackling the most prestigious examination? Those examinations are not looking for those things. They are looking for something else. Are we clear? If I will teach you, or if anyone will teach from here, if anyone will teach you about the recent attack in Pulwama attack that took place, or that took the lives of more than 40 persons in India, we will not teach about attack or India-Pak relationship. We'll talk about the reasons why it led that. Clear? Reason is violation of army code. 40 days back only Mehbooba Mufti Saeed broke the SOP code. And SOP code was that whenever convoy of military forces will move, civilian movements will be restricted. She allowed that civilians movement will also be along with that. Army personnel expected this to happen 40 days ago. It took much longer time to happen at this time. Now we'll be taking with this army code. We won't be teaching about Indo-Pak or these controversy going on. Because you all know, all these controversies are manufactured stories that is going on. Clear? So purpose is to reach up to the real information. Clear? As Amit just said, it's a very important thing. We are not going to teach you news. We are going to teach you real informations. And real information is very difficult for us also. Because we all know we are also surrounded with those manufactured news only. Are you getting my point? Clear? So purpose is that. Purpose of crash course is to groom you in that right direction. And being a bureaucrat, future bureaucrat, it is also your responsibility and it's also expected out of you. You should also be at right information. Clear? You are also not guided by wrong information or wrong news. Clear? And for God's sake, for one thing you do one thing, please avoid reading or please avoiding looking news on news channels and YouTubes these days. Because most of them are fake news. That's a problem with us. Clear? Most of these news are fake news. Either they are polarized news or they are fake news. That's the reality with us. If you want to read authentic magazines, read Economic and Political Weekly. If you want to read, look into some BBC News. There are channels which are very authentic in nature. Clear? They are very authentic. Clear? But Indian media, it's unfortunate to say, they are no more a kind of fourth democracy, fourth pillar of the democracy. They are not pillar at all. That's a hard reality in the country right now. So you need to be very cautious. Clear? If I will say you also to read newspaper, forget about English, forget about Hindi newspapers. You should not read Hindi newspapers because they are under extreme fear now. They cannot write anything on their own, on their objectivity. Even English newspaper, you know, they are basically trying to give some news, clear? But those news also are to be taken with huge amount of skepticism. So purpose is that from where you will prepare current affairs. The reason is that you need some hand. Those hand who will give you the exact information, the real information. The purpose is that. Clear? So purpose of this course should be this thing, clear? And it is very difficult for us also, there's no doubt about it, because we have to dig out something, clear? All these things are, any query that come to your mind, we are waiting for that, clear? We will answer any query, clear? Clear?
Can we look forward for the Rajya Sabha?
Yeah, Rajya Sabha TV is authentic, there's no doubt about it. If you're preparing for this, Rajya Sabha TV is very authentic. Just give me 1 second. All the centers of Career Launcher, you will be given handouts very soon. Clear? Handouts they have. Take care. Okay, so, yeah, You have to read it. Rajya Sabha TV is authentic, relatively authentic, there's no doubt about it. We had also followed that Rajya Sabha TV. While preparing your material, we have looked into those things, there's no doubt. But at the same time, be it any news, I would only ask you to be objective and mature enough. Don't get carried away. Please don't get carried away. That's a very important thing to have to understand, clear? This one example I gave you about OIC, what happened? It was a big debacle for us, clear? No media has ever shown. Not single of you must be knowing this thing. This has happened. Why will media show? And that too at this crucial time. It's not possible, clear? So you need to understand all these things. It's about G7 also, clear? Very important things going on. Yesterday only, Italy is emerging as 8th largest or most industrialized countries in the world. Now it's a very surprise news altogether coming. And at this time, at this crucial time, people will be prepared at this time. They will be asking also on G7. The purpose is that, clear? So here purpose is we cannot, and if we want to do justice with this current issues, we cannot go back to the traditional areas. We cannot done. Traditional GS requires 10 months, minimum 10 months, clear? 75 hours, it can only be current affairs. But believe me, trust us, one thing I can assure you, will give you the real news, real information, and will save you from fake news. That is our responsibility, and that is our moral responsibility also, clear? It's not about class, it's our moral responsibility also, clear? Any query that comes to your mind, anything, Akhand, any one thing that you want to ask, clear? With regard to preparation, so you are a new candidate, clear? See, I would ask you, frankly speaking, there's no doubt about it, this course, you need to prepare your foundation first of all, clear?
Sir, I cracked SSC CGL in 2017, but I need to revise once more for 4 years.
Start reading NCRTs thoroughly,
I have already started.
then read some textbooks. We'll guide you reading textbooks also. One textbook I have named right now only, that is Subhas Kashyap. Read textbooks. Don't read any works of compilation. Make it very clear. UPSC is all about textbooks. Don't read any work of compilation. Go to primary source. Primary source is always winning. Why do we emphasize NCRTs? They are the most primary source for UPSC. Read NCRTs, read some textbooks by eminent authors. It will help you. There's no doubt. Is it fine? Don't read any works of compilation, please. Clear? Anything that comes to mind, anything? Is it fine to all of you? Clear? See, schedule has been given to all of you. The class timing will be 1:30 to 4:30. I'll be starting the batch. Tomorrow we'll start with art and culture. We'll have 3 sessions for art and culture. That is 3 days. Then again I'll continue with international relations and organization. 2 classes on that. Then 1 class on national organization and national issues. We'll be taking that. Clear? From next week you have the schedule. We'll be starting with Indian economy, current developments, all Indian economy. I discussed some issues also which were asked last time, FRBM and ACT all. We'll be using that. And along with that, in those economic classes, Sanat will also be covering last one year's Yojana also. Because normally we get questions from Yojana. Clear? We get questions from Yojana. And believe me, it's not that last 1 year Yojana. There can be information from Yojana before last year also. So you need to cover last 1.5 years. Clear? Yojana. So we'll be covering in economy the Yojana sections also, government schemes also. Clear? That will be done. So everything which is required for current perspective, will be covering that. It's fine. So coming week I'll be taking classes, first of all on art and culture, then on international and national issues and organizations. Is it fine? Clear? Okay then, clear? All the best. See you then. Thank you. Schedule